Okay, so I saw this tweet. What band or artist was still pretty much on top of their game by the time their last album was released? I thought it was interesting. Thought I'd give my takes. First up, I got the Beatles' Abbey Road. And so some people might say, oh, it wasn't their last album, and that Let It Be was their last album, but I counter you with this. So here it says, it is the last album the group recorded, although Let It Be was the last album completed before the band's breakup in 1970. It was recorded in April, July, and August 1969. And then the rehearsals for Let It Be started in January. So yeah, that's why I say Abbey Road. But yeah, if you ask pretty much any Beatles fan, they usually say that this is their favorite album, or they say like Sgt. Pepper's, the White Album, Revolver. Those are all pretty popular ones. But I mean, yeah, this was a very strong effort for them to put out and everything. I like Maxwell Silverhammer. I know a lot of people don't go for it, but you know, great record. Something is an amazing record as well. I also really enjoyed stuff like Oh Darling. That was one of my favorite Beatles songs when I was younger, and that wasn't even like a single or anything. Like, that was just one I found that I loved, and like I bought it on iTunes years and years ago. So I think that, you know, they all had decent contributions to it. And then on, you know, the backside, you have the whole medley moment as well, and just the transitions between the songs and all that stuff. So I think there was a lot of good contributions on this. Just the whole progression of the Beatles career was really fascinating to me, because in the beginning they had a lot of pop rock stuff, you know, they were very poppy, and then as they go on, they kind of get more psychedelic, and it was kind of like Rubber Soul, Revolver, that was kind of like the turning point. And then we get Sgt. Pepper's and the White Album and all that stuff. So yeah, I just think sonically it was super interesting to listen to with the instrumentations and everything that they were doing on here. Vocally, Oh Darling is one of Paul's best vocal performances. So yeah, this is the album where I say that George kind of caught up to John and Paul's songwriting solo careers. It's a whole different ball game. Paul still won though. But yeah, this is a really, really good album. Very cohesive effort from all of them, and I really like the album cover as well. And so this was the last Wings album, Back to the Egg. And this is a really good album, honestly. People don't talk about this album enough, but Getting Closer is one of my favorite Wings songs. I just think it's absolutely incredible. And then you also had stuff like Baby's Request, which was a good song. Arrow Through Me, phenomenal. And this album was what kind of inspired Harry Styles to do his Fine Line album. So Paul McCartney, the genius that you are, okay? So yeah, they just really hit a groove with this album. Really good vocal performances, instrumentation, songwriting, and stuff like that. Kind of sucks that this was their last album because they were really cooking, but had to mention this one as well. The pinnacle of a last album for me, Destiny Fulfilled by Destiny's Child. So I feel like we all have that one artist where it's like, I wish I just had that one last album, and you kind of just imagine what that last album would be, and you know, just kind of what they were on the cusp of. And that's kind of what Destiny Fulfilled is, to be honest. You know, a lot of people, I think they kind of felt like once they said, oh, we're gonna come back for an album, you know, they probably wouldn't, because that's what, you know, groups or artists say all the time. But they really did. You know, they all released their solo projects and they came back together for one last album. So on this album, you have stuff like Free, which is my favorite Destiny's Child song, and it's just so refreshing to listen to. Ain't no feeling like being free when your mind's made up and your heart is in the right place. Ain't no feeling like being free when you're done all you could but you're misunderstood. It's all good, it's all good. It's just so, like, the bridge on the song too, and the ending, and Beyonce's ad-libs, and the production, songwriting wise, they all shined. And that's the thing about this album, they all shined. They all had, you know, great parts on here. They're all really able to showcase what they were doing. And, you know, just, yeah, there was just so much to like on this album. I mean, Kelly has her own song. Michelle was going to carry the whole bridges on this album. Like, what a moment. Beyonce is Beyonce, enough said. So you had Free, which I love. T-Shirt is kind of an underrated moment. Cater to You was on this album as well, which is one of their more popular songs, I would say. Is She the Reason was amazing. I believe Love was the ending song, so that was a really good moment on this album as well. Lose My Breath was a really popular song. So yeah, I feel like the singles were really good. There was really good deep cuts on here as well. They all shined. It was great production on here as well. Great songwriting, great vocal arrangements. You can just feel the maturity if you listen to this album and Survivor back to back, night and day. So I love this album. I think it's their best album. I think it's super strong. Last up I'll say is Aaliyah's final album. And so yeah, I don't know if some people would count this in terms of this video, because it's not like she chose for this to be her final album. As we know, she tragically passed away in the plane crash. This album is a really good album. I love the album and everything, so I kind of wanted to mention it. And this album has no skips in my opinion. You know, Try Again, smash hit, classic. Messed Up is a bonus track on some versions of the album. I think that that's an excellent song as well. You had More Than a Woman, her on the video on the motorcycle, and then What If, one of my favorite Aaliyah songs. Her getting into that rock bag, I just think is super cool. So I really enjoyed that record. You had Those Were the Days, Rock the Boat, which is a great song. It's just, you know, tragic that she passed away, I'll say that. We Need a Resolution is good until Timbaland comes in, and then I just skip his parts. Loose Strap is amazing on this. Yeah, just so many good songs, no skips on this. And yeah, like you can tell that she was just really at the top of her game here, and so it's unfortunate what happened after, you know, and everything. And she was really booked out. Like, I just can't imagine like all the cool things that Aaliyah would have done. But this is a great album. It really is the best album of the year in my opinion. My picks, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments, and let's continue that conversation.